This session examines the profound demographic shifts reshaping our world, from declining populations in the West and East Asia to the implications for economic growth, labor mobility, and global geopolitics. It is my pleasure to invite our panelists to the stage. Chairing this panel is Professor Rajan. Professor Rajan is chair of the International Institute of Migration and Development. He previously served as the professor at the Center for Development Studies and led the research unit on international migration funded by the former Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs. Professor Rajan is the founding editor-in-chief of Migration and Development and edits the Routledge series India Migration Report and South Asia Migration Report. Dr. Nicholas Eberstadt holds the Henry Wendt Chair in Political Economy at the American Enterprise Institute. His work focuses on international security in Asia, global demographics, economic development, poverty, and social well-being in the United States. A senior advisor to the National Bureau of Asian Research, he is the author of several influential books, his latest book being America's Human Arithmetic. Dr. Eberstadt studied at the Harvard University and the London School of Economics and is a Bradley Prize and Irving Kristol Award recipient. Please. Ambassador Keiichi Ono, Ambassador of Japan to India, has worked as Senior Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan. As the G7 G20 Sherpa for Prime Minister, he contributed to the outcomes of the G7 Hiroshima Summit 2023, the G20 New Delhi Summit 2023. His portfolio includes economic and trade negotiations and coordination in various forums, including the G7, G20, World Trade Organization, and Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, among others. And finally, Thorsten Benner. Mr. Benner co-founded and directs the Global Public Policy Institute in Berlin, a non-profit think tank. His work addresses international security and technology politics, including Europe-Asia relations. He is an adjunct faculty at the Hertie School and has written widely for media and books on peace operations and global institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the panel.
Thank you very much. And this is going to be an important session because we are talking about demography. And demography is, I call them destiny. The demography of Europe is changing and India is still active in demography. So I am going to spend a few minutes because we are already running out of time. And we'll cut down so that we have more discussion with you. Currently, India is in the age what we call them the great demographic dividend. The great demographic dividend. And as per the population projections we have just completed last week, indicate that this dividend will be with us only 15 years. Only 15 years. Right now, we are talking about 377 million people whom I call migrant-born age group, 15 to 29. Earlier, people live at the age of 20. Now, people started moving the age of 16, 17, 18 for studies. And this will come down to 350 million in 31, 334 in 41, 320 in 51. So, we are on the end of the demographic dividend. So, 15 years windows. Only 15 years. Then we will be, our demography will look like European demographic change. More aging, less children, all those issues will come. What can we do in this 15 years linking the demography and mobility? I want to start with two important points. One is, we have demographic advantage. Many countries globally have demographic disadvantage. We have supply more, and demand is the other side. So there is a demand and supply. But currently, who is ruling the migration narrative? Is it countries of origin or countries of destinations? This is something we should discuss more. Take an example. Students are running from India. I call them mad rush, not just rush. It's like the first day, first show movie. Everybody want to go. Everybody want to go. And many universities are coming in. They call educational fair, enrollment. Basically, they are here to recruit their future workers. The name is student mobility. They are the future worker. People go as a student, 80% of them never come unless they are forced to come, which is happening in many countries now. I call them failed dreamers. Failed dreamers. There will be more failed dreamers will come from not just from Europe, from other countries. You cannot get, a student visa cannot be the, what is called the pass for the PR in many countries. So we have to look at our student migration. The second thing, investing in skills. We have a skill ministry. They talk about skilling, reskilling, upskilling. But our Prime Minister wants to make India as a skill capital in the world. But what is happening to our skilled labor force who goes to work in other countries? The study we have done in Indian students in Canada, Australia. Right now we are doing a project on Indians in Germany. New migration corridor. I have seen many of them are being de-skilled. De-skilling is a phenomena which is happening right now. De-skilling. We have to look at it because we have that opportunity only for 15 years. You want to skill them here and then they are being de-skilled in many countries. I was telling to the Kerala government, earlier we sent only unskilled workers to the Gulf countries. Now, we send the unskilled worker to all the countries in the world, but the visa is student migration. The visa name is changed, no longer labor visa. They are all working in apartments, drivers, Uber, so much things are happening. And investing, can the receiving countries can invest on skilling our people? We should talk about that, investing. Why should we invest and they get benefits? Can they also be partners in skilling in our country? And finally, we are going to be receiving lot of return migrants. But we pushed the immigration bill to talk about that, immigration bill, because return migration is part of the migration story. Return migration. But the return migrants who are going to come now is not those return migrants who came from the Gulf countries. Even we have no idea how we handle them. There is no return migration policy in many states of India. When you go, matter ends there. They think migration means money. Money means migration. But people are coming back. And their skills we don't know. Their skills we don't know. So we have to talk about how to bring back the skilled people back to build our city. When you go to Gulf, they say, we build Dubai. You build Dubai, now come back and build Kochi. Build Mumbai. We have to bring them, and for that I just wanted to close saying that Mahatma Gandhi was a return migrant. Mahatma Gandhi was a return migrant. We should talk about that, and China is pursuing so much on bringing back their skilled people. We don't want somebody sending our skilled migrant back through what is called the undocumented migration. Sorry, we have to bring our skilled people with attractive incentives to come back, welcome back. And I'm going to stop here. I'm going to request all my three panelists to take maybe 7 to 8 minutes, the first round. Then we'll open it for discussion. Let me start with Dr. Nicholas.
Professor Rogers, do you want me to sit here?
No, you ask you please. You want to sit here? You can
I'll sit here. Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? I'm delighted to be here with you today, to be sitting next to my old friend, Professor Rajan. Congratulations on the success of India's World and on this splendid, splendid conclave. Demographics offers us a view of the future, which is more precise than I think any of the other sciences or social sciences can bring. We've got a much better idea of what the world's population profile will look like in 10 or 20 years than of its economic future, its geopolitical future, or its technological future. And the reason for this is quite simple. The overwhelming majority of people who will be alive, let's say, in the year 2050, are already born. They're already here today. And so we have a very good idea of what the world's future workforce is going to look like. We have a very good idea of what the world's future pension population is going to look like. And it's going to be transformed in a way that we have not known of historically for centuries. And that's because the planet as a whole is at the point of falling below replacement fertility, the level at which population stability can be assured over time. 3/4 of the countries in the world now have below replacement fertility, including your own country. And what this will mean inexorably is that, this is baked into the cake already, I'm afraid, is that we will be seeing a peaking of populations or population decline at a national level in an increasing number of countries. We'll be seeing shrinking working age populations in an increasing number of countries, and we'll be seeing pervasive graying, pervasive aging of populations all around the world, because it's really small families, not long lives, that are the driver arithmetically of graying societies. Now, when I first visited your country 50 years ago, there was a great deal of anxiety internationally and a considerable amount of scare talk about the population explosion. In 1975, when I first visited your country, there were seemingly serious discussions in intellectual circles in the West about whether aid should be cut off from India, because it will only be translated into more babies and then into more catastrophic future famines. Well, we can see where those predictions ended up. India's larger than it's ever been before in terms of human numbers. Its proportion of extreme poverty is lower than it's ever been in history. I've seen some estimates saying it's down to 1% or less. Richer, better educated, better housed than ever before. That's because the world population explosion was really a health explosion. It was all driven by improvements in health and thus in human productivity. And if you're going to have a population problem, I'll take a health explosion any day of the week, I'll tell you that. Now that we're heading into a world of shrinking populations, we see also some alarmed or alarmist discussions of what an aging and shrinking world would be like. And I think we need to view those with the same skepticism that we should have viewed the population explosion talk. We live in a world of increased complex cooperation which has unlocked the value of human resources under auspicious business climates, and with improved health, improved education and skills, improved business climate, and continuing technological innovation, I think we have great scope for increasing the affluence of the world despite shrinking and aging. The role of competitive migration policy for a shrinking and aging world, I think, will only become more acute. And I think we have to recognize that there are some countries and some societies that will likely benefit more from competitive migration strategies than others, because some countries have proved that they are more successful at welcoming and absorbing and successfully assimilating streams of migrants, of human talent, I should say, than others. And there are some sending countries that have the record of having less successful assimilants, less successful immigrants in the societies that are receiving. I think we've only started to see the benefits of strategic and competitive migration policy. We'll be discussing this much more in the future. One point that I would like to make about India's potential in the world. We all see the demographic dividend, the once in history chance of capitalizing upon the benefits which come during fertility decline from the more rapid growth of the workforce than the national population. The record of the past 3 decades shows that not all demographic dividends get cashed. You can take a look at what happened in Latin America and in East Asia in the post-war period, when their population compositions were very similar, when their labor forces grew more rapidly than their national populations. The economic results were radically different. Why is that? Because East Asia was much more successful in investing in its population, much more successful in creating the business climate which is necessary to unlock the human value that was in their populations. India has to look at both its business climate and at its human resources, and I'd be happy to discuss that last part more in the future, but the great Achilles heel in India's human resources is the lack of basic skills for so much of its young population. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nicholas. And we will listen to Ambassador Haichi. Yes.
Thank you very much. First of all, big congratulations to Dr. Pemon Jacob and Dr. Rajamohan for this successful conclave and the launch of the distinguished magazine or publications of India's world. I really appreciate your efforts. And today, thank you very much for inviting me to this important session on demography. I'm not an expert on demography at all, but I know the reason why I'm being invited, because Japan also faces a very serious challenge on demography, decreasing the population and growing elderly population and shrinking younger generations. So we are kind of, we would like to be a good case, and also give some lessons to the Indian friends and colleagues here in Delhi. 3 points, 3 dimensions from my perspective at first. First, Japan's experiences and lessons. Second, directions of Japan-India collaboration policies. And number 3, third, is lessons for India from Japan's experiences and kind of suggestion to the India's own policy efforts to be expected here. First, Japan's lessons or experiences. In the 1940s, so about 80 years ago, before the Second World War ended, we started a baby booming period, and the population explosion started. And the improved infectious disease control or better maternal or child care policies and situations led to the growing youth and the population expansion. And that was followed by the economic growth in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And at that time, social security systems were developed. And we are proud that Japan has a universal, comprehensive system for universal medical insurance and pensions. This is unique, even in today's world. And also, urbanization has started. So more and more populations have come to Tokyo. So even now, Tokyo, in a sense, we too much concentration of population in the capital area. And infrastructure, like high-speed railway, Shinkansen, or others, express transport roads, they were built in this period of time. But the economy matured, then naturally the fertility rate has gradually declined. Since 1974, it has remained below the population replacement level of 2.1. Today, Japan's fertility rate is 1.15 last year. 2 years ago, 1.2, but now dropped to 1.15. India is, by the way, 2.0. Not very high, actually, as already pointed out at the first. So now we face the challenges of a growing elderly population and shrinking younger generations. So in responding to those big challenges, the Japanese government has taken various measures in making efforts to, say, changing the lifestyle or work style and letting more men take care of our children or the grandchildren, or we've introduced medical and elderly care services for elderly people, particularly in urban areas, or using technology, IT, and other things to cope with the challenges, including telemedicine and others. So we have a lot of experiences, but let me stop here at the moment. And now Japan and India, the second point. Give me a few more minutes. Then move on to the second point, Japan-India corporations. In this area, Japan and India are complementary for each other. We have technology, skills, lots of accumulation, and of R&D, technology and others, but we are suffering a lack of shortage of workforces. But India, growing power, economic development, dynamism, and the population, of course, but at the same time, still shortage of skilled workers in many areas. So we can help each other in this context. I will talk about details later, but when Prime Minister Modi visited Japan this August, the two leaders of both countries agreed on enhancing the people-to-people exchanges between the two countries. Third point is a kind of lessons for your country, India, I mean. I'm very interested in a striking resemblance in Japan 1960s, 70s, and India today. Say the current per capita GDP, it's similar, actually. Similar to our 60s or 70s. And also population peak period or some others. Average age, for example, 28, 29, or it was 30, about 30 for Japan. So we had a striking similarity between Japan some decades ago and today's India. So I hope India would take several policy measures to address those challenges, and don't wait. If you wait, it will be today's Japan. So you don't need to wait. You don't have a luxury to waste time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think you are rightly said. We have only 15 years to use the dividend. And also, of course, now people are talking about Indians are migrating to Japan now. We see some people coming in there. And we can learn lessons from Japan because they are handling the elderly population right now. And we will be the same thing in 2051, not too far. And let me invite Thorsten from the Berlin, Germany. In fact, India, Germany is, we call them emerging migration corridor. I was looking at a triple win program of G2G with the Kerala government. I would like to see what is your viewpoints on general for a few minutes. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and congratulations, Happymon Jacob Rajamohan, on this wonderful achievement that's India's world. It's really a gift to all of us, especially out there, outside, to the Indian community, here, strategic community, but also to those working on India and with India to have this incredible publication and also this conclave bringing great people together. So I'm very privileged to be here. Like the ambassador, I'm not an expert on demography, but I come from one of these graying, aging societies that absolutely have an immigration imperative. Because, depending on where you stand and what your estimates are in terms of where our economy is going, Germany alone, I'm not talking about Europe, Germany alone needs immigration in the order of magnitude of 250,000 to 500,000 every year in order to sustain our productivity and avoid our social systems from totally collapsing. And even in that positive scenario, they'll be under enormous strain. So indeed, we're very much in a competitive environment because we need to be attractive for migrants to come to Germany. And it's not so easy. At least we have reasonably clean air, but otherwise the weather is not that great. And it's also a big question mark to what degree Germans and Japanese are welcoming and open-minded as a society. And I think we have a lot of work to do on that front because in a sense, sometimes you talked in questions of supply and demand, but this is not trading goods. This is human beings who have dignity and they have agency, and they will go wherever, and they will move again if they don't feel they get to have a stake in the society and like a welcome, receptive, potential second home. So I think we have quite a bit of work to do on that front because this immigration imperative happens while we have the control imperative from our population, because the clear signal I think populations across Europe are sending to their governments is you need to be in control of migration. Irregular migration is nothing we will tolerate, and if it happens, we will vote for parties that promise to stop it, with all the kind of negative side effects on the spread of nativism and racism that comes with this control imperative. But I think the labor mobility agreements that Germany, for example, concluded with India are one answer to this, and they're a very constructive answer to this, because they create legal pathways, and we need to get better at making it easier and more attractive, and so on. I think Germans are slowly learning what it takes, and to go to Kerala, to have to go to the state level, do agreements, and so on. So we're learning the ropes there, but we're willing to make this work because we need to be attractive as a country of immigration, and it has paid off until now. The number of Indians residing in Germany has increased quite significantly, still at a low number compared to other countries, but it has increased significantly. If you look at the median income of the Indians living in Germany. It's above the median income of Germans. So it's a very, very successful group of immigrants that contributes tremendously to German society. So I think we should be heartened by this fact. Work hard on becoming an attractive destination for skilled immigration, while at the same time, of course, controlling irregular migration as our electorates demand. And I do think, final word, I think we'll become a more welcoming society to Indian migration, the more familiar and we're with India. So we also need more kind of student and other migration of Germans and Europeans to India to increase familiarity, and also temporary joint business projects. We need to encourage that also of Germans and Europeans doing that with Indian partners together.
Thank you. I think we are all talking about policy in India, legal, orderly, and safe migration. I think that is the policy India is talking about. And also we are talking about tough competition. Now, people are looking for skilled workers. And I know that, for example, German, almost all the trains are running late because you don't have many drivers. In fact, the trains are even cancelled. Sometime I was in the railway station. So we can see that not only you need skilled worker, you also need unskilled, semi-skilled worker. I just want to come back before I open it up to the audience. Dr. Nicholas, you have seen the world for quite some time on the demographic dividend. Over starting, and we are in our window is still open, am I right? For a few more years, as per the projections, you know that. And what do you think India should, because this will be with us for only 15, 20 years maximum. And we have to get something out of that. Otherwise, it's like a demographic disaster, not dividend. What do you think that linking this dividend to migration, what type of policies or programs, especially in the context of this enclave, or migration is being talked about, new corridors. Every country wants Indians now. Agreement is happening every time. Every other day somebody is coming from country to India. What is your take on that, linking the demographic dividend and migration?
Well, I don't think it's exactly a state secret that India has done very well strategically with its approach towards international migration. We've already heard the numbers about remittances and about international movement. Part of this, as I tried to indicate earlier, speaks not just to the skills of India's workforce, but also to things that don't show up on measured tests about how populations can integrate and succeed internationally. Very generally speaking, Professor Rajan, I think we can say that the story of modern economic development is one of human wealth, not natural wealth. It's the ways in which we increase the human capital of populations and the human potential of populations by unlocking the value of that capital through auspicious business climates. So in my own homework, I think I have been able to show that just 4 factors have a tremendous impact upon a country's national economic performance 15 years out, which is what you're asking about. Health, education and skills, urbanization, and I called it business climate. You could call it quality of institutions, quality of policies if you were trying to do a dissertation defense, but we know what it means, business climate. India has made extraordinary strides over the past 50 years since I first visited your country. I mean, there's a story, there's a tale called Rip Van Winkle that some of you have read. Man wakes up and the world's changed radically. Rip Van Winkle was asleep for 15 years, so I've done more than 3 Van Winkle units in visiting India. And the improvements in health, in education, in urbanization, and business climate are really very palpable. But there's still, if a foreign friend can say such a thing, I think there's still some room for improvement there in all of those counts. The two that I would mention in particular, skills. Everybody that I meet from India is a genius. They're fantastic scientists, engineers, professionals, researchers. But this is one end of the distribution. There are millions of people in this cadre. But there are still hundreds and hundreds of millions of people who have either minimal education or no education at all. And one of the most striking, and I should think, if I were Indian, worrisome things that one sees in some of the international standardized testing evaluations are the very, very, very large numbers of young people in India who do not make the basic skills. Basic skill classifications, 1 through 5 in these international testing schemas. Standard 1, can you read a clock which just has hands, not digital? Can you add 3 figures? Can you read a paragraph and answer some questions about it? Over 80% of the young people in India can't meet that level of basic skills. So I would think that improving the basic skills would be absolutely a first imperative. Additionally, there's the whole question about business climate. This is not my evaluation, but if you take a look at Transparency International on corruption, or if you take a look at the various indices of economic freedom, there's a lot of room for improvement for India. And raising the level of business climate has radical implications for improving the productivity of the country. So I'd say skills and business climate together can turbocharge results for India over the next 15 years.
Thank you. I just wanted to come back to Ambassador. We all now in India, we are talking about what I call the first demographic dividend. You have now second demographic dividend, which I call them silver economy. Am I right? Nobody talks about that. Both of you are in silver economy. We are still enjoying the benefits of huge demographic dividend. What are the policies? Because you are all, when you are old, you are already rich. We are going to be old, we are not rich, we will be poor. Many countries are becoming rich without, old. So what are your thoughts on the second demographic dividend? Are you able to reap anything on that based on experience in Japan and even in Germany? Something, then I'll come back to him if he can counter-argue on that. Second demographic dividend. Nobody talks now. But imagine, I was telling in one of the meeting, Donald Trump is 78. Silver economy. His one tweet can change the whole world. Everybody will shiver. His tweet, he's 78. So you can imagine the second demographic dividend, silver dividend. BRICS country, presidents, prime ministers. So what is that? Are you able to reap anything on the second demographic dividend or silver economy?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, this is my first time to hear that word. But yes, talking about today's Japan, yes, that terminology reminds me of the reality that our population has been declining and the younger population has been shrinking, but working age population has been increasing. Do you know that? Japan's working age population has been increasing for the 2 reasons. 1, women, and 2 is elderly people. So they've started working more. This I don't think that this is negative, positively. They've started working, they've started finding places to work and things and interests and reskilling, re-education. Then, the huge vast declining of the population, but world age population has been increasing. So yes, that could be the second, the dividend.
Yeah, coming back to Berlin, recently I was in Berlin. There was a talk in Germany of replicating the G2G, triple win program. I don't know, I always talk to them, triple win program, who is the real winner? Is it Germany or India or the nurses? I don't know, maybe you can answer that. There was a proposal to expand this experience or replicating this triple win program to other countries in Europe. They want to use this as a model. Did you hear anything about that, and what are your experiences on the triple win program?
So thank you. I'm not entirely sure whether I would call Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, or Xi Jinping our kind of demographic dividend, what they're bequeathing to our planet. But it's an interesting perspective for sure. I mean, this triple win, the Chinese leadership always talked about win-win, and then we said, like, it's when China wins twice. So the triple win for the Germany is when Germany wins 3 times. No, but I do think there's a lot in it. I mean, we win a lot from attracting, if we are able to attract immigration from India. But I do think through circular migration and so on, eventually, not just through remittances, India also profits from that. I think it's mutually beneficial. I think I wouldn't necessarily talk about exporting this before we have kind of optimized it. Or like if I were to export anything, or like if other countries were to use it, I would say do the lessons learned together with Germany, because I do think there's still question marks to what degree, for example, do Indian citizens want to go through these official channels? To what degree are they accessible? Even the language they use, because not every, it's partly top skilled migration, but it's partly also lower skilled or like skilled but not for necessarily university educated professions that we need. And are we actually good at targeting those who we need? How can we improve it? How can we also responsibly work and maybe evaluate which of these private non-governmental agencies that facilitate labor migration are worth trusting and employing in these schemes? So I do think we need to first, in a sense, increase the lessons or implement the lessons learned, what worked and what didn't work so well with these programs, I think, before others do that. Or maybe they can do it together, and then we can jointly try to improve these schemes.
Yeah, just wanted to add to that, because Indians used to go to what we call them English-speaking countries, like Australia, Canada, UK, US, and there are issues right now, we can see that. But people are moving towards now Germany. In fact, I can see that I'm coming from the state called Kerala. There were 600 institutions are teaching Germany. I said, where are you going? Everybody want to go to Germany. Now slowly we are seeing people are learning Portuguese, learning, But this language barrier is something for us, because when we talk to nurses in G2G, they said when you finish nursing, we can go to Australia immediately. But here you have to get into a few years to get the things.
That's our disadvantage as Germans. We will not change it. I mean, I cannot. My parents, if they had to be nursed, my parents don't speak a word of a foreign language. So they, I will not reskill my parents before they are in need. So I do think we need to, it's our disadvantage, but we need to rely on, technology can help, I think. We have technological, but I do think that's our disadvantage, attracting migration from English-speaking countries. The language barrier remains. We need to make it attractive and cool. We don't have K-pop. That's our problem. I think if we had a good cultural export that would make it attractive to learn German, maybe that will help.
Yeah, but what is the German is investing for the Indians to learn Germany? Are you putting, because I see some resources coming in from Germany now to invest on German language in Kerala. For example, they have started talking to people who are studying nurses right now. They can also go through similar time the language. When you are ready as a nurse, you're also able to clear all the levels of thing. What do you think that countries you really want to attract? Because now competition is very high to get nurses. Because even Gulf is talking about high-skilled migration, not just Germany. Everybody needs high-skilled. So you have to be very highly competitive, am I right? So what do you think what way you can invest on skilling people in India, not just your country, but the receiving countries? Any ideas you have in your mind?
I don't have a long list of ideas to be honest. But maybe the ambassador.
Yeah, ambassador want to say something. Yeah. Yeah, ambassador, please. Ambassador, please. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. As regards the language first, of course, we also have an issue. The same as Germany. But still, I'm always impressed by the German government's policy to try to get skilled workers from India. It's really impressive. We need to follow. But I wanted to say that language is something, of course, but it doesn't tell everything. In our case, more and more skilled workers are from India. The northeast part of India comes to Japan. Because we have historical bonds between Japan and the northeast, and we've established a relationship, and quite a few Japanese institutions have established sending organizations and institutes in the northeast India. So of course they need to, the students or trainees need to learn Japanese language to some extent, and plus skills, then they go to Japan. So yes, that's an issue, but we have the tools to overcome those things, and we've already started. Maybe the same applies to the German case.
No, this is for the general audience. I just wanted to ask all of you. See, the problem in migration is the visa rejection, visa delays, and of course, even people have problem in getting visas. Now, when you talk about migration mobility, how liberal we are talking on our visa policies? Because India, for example, we have e-visas, visa on arrival for 190 plus countries, whereas this is not happening in many countries. How do you think we can, shall we think something about, reforming visas? I don't know, I just wanted to ask anything we can do, because visa is something important. For example, I was talking with the UAE government recently. They said they have a 3-month visit visa. People come and visit, look at it. Yes, German looks good, their foods are good. Yeah.
The German ambassador will be on the panel at 5 p.m. I think he can tell a little bit the story, because he worked very hard because he saw that the system was totally broken. Supply and demand in the German embassy didn't work at all. And I think he worked very hard, and we're starting as a system in Germany. We have a lot of catching up to do on digitization, but we're now kind of introducing all these online processes for visa. The good news is we have a fairly welcoming now labor mobility scheme. So it's not, we actually invite and so on. We just need to process it efficiently. I think we're making some progress, but I do think there's still a lot of room for improvement to make it kind of fast, efficient. By the way, also on the Indian side,
equally bad.
It's great you have e-visa, but some skilled Indian programmer can reprogram that site at some point and make it better and user friendly. But we need to do that as well. While at the same time, if you do it all electronically, you also need to ensure the veracity and authenticity of the documents. So there's a certain issue, of course, with fraud and so on that we have to get better at that while kind of speedily processing these.
Yeah, but there is a issue there because, you look at a country like US or something, if you visit 2 or 3 times, they give you, say, 5-year multiple entry visa, even for professionals. Where Schengen visa, of course, I get more years because I know people there. But that should not be the case. So
but get a job and get a blue card.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's beautiful. After 5 years, you can become German citizen.
No.
We're actually quite welcoming. At least theoretically, the schemes we have, they're good. I mean, I see the problem with Schengen visa and multiple entry and single entry and the pain. But that's for visits. But for labor mobility, I think
you get longer period.
If you want to come work, we have good options for you.
Okay. And the last point to our Japanese, because even the same thing with the Japan visas, In fact, my passport, all pages only Japan visa, because every time I go, I have to apply. Whereas in, my US visa is there in another passport some 5 years back. They said, what are you doing in Japan? Every time I have to go, I have to produce documents. I know somebody who is, I think we should talk sometime. It's an animal with us, visa. It's like you don't see them, but it creates issue. And I just wanted to come to Professor Nicholas about the experience, because it's also important for the mobility, not the undocumented. We are talking about legal, orderly, safe migration. Your comments, yeah.
First, a comment on the English language as a means of mobility. I think English language is terribly important these days, and there are enormous returns to learning it internationally. I, for example, am fluent in American, but I've got a good working knowledge of English, and that's been very helpful for me at various times in my life. No one has done the study that I'm waiting to see about the economics of English in the global economy. But I think we can see that for whatever reason, increasingly there's a dominance in finance, in science, in culture, and it isn't just because of any one country. It's a little bit like the equivalent of a reserve currency. It's like a reserve cultural currency that gives benefits to many different people from many different countries from learning it. With respect to visas and rationalizing processes, I think there's a great deal to be said for that. But I think there's an even bigger question, if I might, that I'd add to this, which is that the process of migration over the last several decades in the Western world has endangered public support for migration as a whole. And in Europe, in North America, maybe elsewhere, we're seeing increasing voter skepticism about migration from other countries. And it's not just a question of irrational voters or reactionary voters. There has to be a win-win arrangement if migration is going to make sense for both sides. And increasingly, voters in Europe and in the United States have questioned whether there's something in it for them. In my country, the particular sticking point has been illegal migration. And we had an experiment with illegal migration for a number of years recently that did almost brilliantly poisoned public support for migration in general. I don't know what the particular formula will be for different countries. My guess is that the right spot will be different for different countries, and national consensus will be required for that. But if we recognize that there is still a great deal of room for improvement in win-win solutions, and to try to find our footing in there, I think that everybody will be better off.
Okay, thank you. I think now we have few, not long, few minutes. So, oh my God, there are a lot of hands are being raised. You don't want to go for lunch? If you don't want to go for lunch, we can continue, but I need lunch anyway. So we will take maybe 3 or 4 hands. I see one hand, one, 2, 3 this side. Okay, we'll start from the back and then second and third. Give it to her. Yeah. Please introduce yourself so that people are. Oh, it went back? Okay. So
Hello.
after that, yeah, okay. I wanted to give it to
Hello.
her.
Yeah. So I'm Lokendra. I'm with the Takshashila Institution. I have 2 very brief, quick questions. First is, how do we architect an ecosystem in India that is capable of absorbing returning migrants when that ecosystem in the first place created the preconditions for talent outflow from the country? And second is, let's say we have been successful in architecting such an ecosystem and a lot of talent is returning back to India, then how would it collide with another great migration happening within the country from the hinterland to the cities? Thank you.
Okay, back, yeah. Give it to her. Give it to her. Yeah. Please raise. Her. Standing. Who's standing? Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Rajan. I'm Surabhi. I represent International Center for Migration Policy in India. We are an international organization based in Vienna. My question is to Dr. Nicola, who made this very interesting observation about lack of basic skills being the Achilles heel in case of India's effort to capitalize on the demographic dividend. Here, I would just like to have your thoughts on this question. What would qualify as basic skills? Because when you look at literacy rate, it has been going up consistently in India. And in the current race for global talent, do basic skills then mean that you are able to capitalize on the talent? And the linked question would be that it's more a question of skilling being aligned to global standards, and also the question of recognition of skills, because when we seek to industry counterparts, for instance, in India, more and more what we hear is there are a lot of educated graduates, but somehow they do not match up to what the requirements are on the destination side. So maybe your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Yeah, these 2, yeah. Here, him, and then this one, and then.
Hi, thank you for the discussion, very illuminating. My name is Dhruv. I'm actually from the startup world. I work with a company called Zepto. So perhaps you'll have to forgive the naivety of some of my questions, but I'd like to ask 2 questions actually. Dr. Rajan, I understand the fundamental logic of Indian immigrants adding more value in rich countries and us benefiting from the remittances. But it seems to me that logic taken to an extreme might lead to a situation like Nepal, where you have catastrophic brain drain and don't have enough talent to meaningfully seed industries. So on the spectrum of rational, sensible decision-making on immigration policy versus it being a band-aid solution to lack of structural reform, where do you think we currently lie? Dr. Nicholas, I appreciate the 4 vectors along which you measure the success. And I think the example you drew between Latin America versus East Asia made a lot of sense. Now, assuming that over the next 5 or 10 years, India is able to make the kind of policy reforms where along the lines of skills and business climate, in my view, the global attitudes towards free trade were very different when the East Asian economies were rising. So even if India does make these reforms, do you believe that the global attitudes against global trade will lead to India growing old before it grows rich?
Yeah, last, yeah.
Thank you. I'm Dipanshu Singh. I represent Gati Foundation, which stands for Global Access to Talent from India, which is a non-profit working in the space of overseas mobility. My question is to both Ambassador Ono and Thorsten. When we talk about, and this is a point that Professor Rajan also mentioned, is about the language and the visas. One of the challenges that we are also trying to figure out is there are a lot of professions which do not require maybe a B2 or a B3 or an N5 and an N4 level. Maybe which is a non-person facing job. Why can't there be a relaxation on that? Because language is one thing and cultural training is another thing. Generally, it is linked to both. And second is, when you talk about accreditation, why can't we have German universities or institutes or Japanese institutes coming to India and giving the kind of training that is required for the skills there? So where can we find a middle way on that? Thank you.
Yeah, we will, I think we will have your responses. Maybe start from that side. Yeah. You would like to say anything for any question?
I mean, I think these are very good suggestions, and I think we should learn from your experience and your suggestions and try to implement them, both in terms of being flexible on the requirements and also if the Indian side so desires and is open and welcoming to offer this here. And one of our favorite exports is this dual track, apprenticeship programs that we have in Germany that are actually pretty good. And I think GIZ has already kind of worked on kind of making those available and working with local partners on this. And so I do think these are valuable observations and very good suggestions, and I hope we can take those up.
Ambassador. Yes, Ambassador. Yeah.
Thank you very much. As regards the visa or legal status, in our case, legal status of states or maybe language requirements and others, it depends on the areas and categories, and sometimes, yes, we need to require some higher language abilities for that professions, and for others, sometimes we relax the language requirements. So it all depends. Sometimes the system may follow the reality, but sometimes, yes, we are flexible about changing the systems. Thank you.
Nicholas?
With regard to the question on skills and education, I don't think that I can offer anything as penetrating or incisive as some of the observers from India have already offered. You've got people coming this afternoon, for example, from the Pradham Foundation in Mumbai, Dr. Ajay Shah. I think there have been great constructive suggestions for how to revitalize and improve basic skills in education and also the quality of higher education in India. I'm a grateful consumer for their research, let's say. And with regard to foreign trade, free trade, I myself am a long-time enthusiast about the benefits of free trade. We're going through a little bit of an experiment in the United States right now with transactional international economics and with tariffs. The United States public finance system has a huge gap between revenues and expenditures. It's looking for something to fill that gap. I don't think that tariff revenues will turn out to be the eventual answer for that. Perhaps something more like a VAT that Europe has. As was said earlier by Dr. Tharoor, we're going to see the impact of tariffs on prices in the United States over the next year or so. American voters don't like higher prices, and they punish their politicians who deliver higher prices to them. So we may find out that our experiment in less free trade ends sooner than some will think. The benefits are just so great internationally for more free trade that there should be something in it to make sure that there are more winners and less losers out of the surplus gains there.
Okay, I think before I make my final comments, I can open it up for maybe two people, but you can ask questions, but you can get the answer during the lunchtime with them. So they will not be able to answer now, but you can ask question to them. If any one of you, two of you, any one of you want to ask question, of course you can ask me, but them you have to talk to them during the lunch break. Anyone? Anybody? Yeah, please, I can see that, yeah. Give the mic to him. We can take one more person question.
Yeah. This is
please introduce yourself.
I'm Krishna Kumar. I teach at Venkateshwara College in the Department of Economics. And Dr. Nicholas, I'll be quick and brief in my questions to both of you. Dr. Nicholas, I wanted to know as to what your reflection is, because you have seen the whole world unraveling. From 1970s, when there was a discussion about brain drain tax, to the current situation where President Trump goes to impose a remittances tax from the person who is sending the tax to this country back. So how do you view it in the larger aspects of global development? And to Mr. Thorstein Berner, I would just ask this question, that you seem to be highly optimistic about the possibilities of larger migration occurring into Germany. And whereas number of economists, particularly Azimoglu amongst others, has spoken in terms of the skill-based technological change which is happening, which is resulting in large-scale utilization of artificial intelligence, even in everyday trades like the driverless car. I suspect whether your sense of optimism would really work. And along with it, I would even say that given that there has been a huge stagnation of real wages in Europe, particularly the peripheral Europe, what is the prospects of Germany still going out of its way towards catering to different other nationalities in different other parts of the world over the Eastern Europeans who might be in far more similar situations? Okay.
Okay, thank you. So you can listen to him during the lunch break. Okay, so you can, let me, because I think we are running out of time because everybody is hungry now, food is getting cold. Just want to make 2-3 points, I think, in the name of winding up. I think one point is, which I said in the beginning, that the demographic dividend will be very short period. How you can utilize it, I think everybody has to think in your own way, in your own thinking, in your own work, how you can benefit this. The second point which I would like to make is, we are all talk about migration means money. I think that attitude has to change, because that is only the economic benefits. But none of us are talking about social cost of migration. If you tell them social cost of migration, then probably migration even can be slowed down. For example, the state which I am coming from, 1 million married women whose husbands are not there. 1 million married women only in Kerala alone. 2 million children are growing with only either father, mother, or grandparents, or in the boarding school. They are growing up like this. And there are 4 million older parents waiting to see their children and grandchildren when they will come, because they are not there. So I think the social cost, something we have to always keep in mind when we talk about counting the money. And another point which I would like to make is that what is called the brain drain, we talk about now brain gain, that is what the return migration. But return migration, what do we do with them? We have no policies. I'm sure about that. They will also even come back and get again come into the employment market. They will look for jobs. Already you say we have high unemployment. People talk about that. But the point is very important. When global economic crisis was hit, there are many people came. We don't want that type of distress return of Indians. We have to look at it. People should go back, learn something, come back and put your mind here. Like when I go to Gulf, they say we built Dubai. You built Dubai, now come and build Delhi or Mumbai. I think you have to come back, and that attitude, we have to think and generate employment. We have to look at our employment policies, should be something different. And finally, what I said in the morning, that we are creating skills, but the skills should bring enough returns. We don't want to be de-skilling and brain wastage. So time has come for India to think where to place our people, right place, right country, with the right benefits and right justice. We don't want the migrant to be exploited at any cost. We are talking about legal, safe, orderly migration. So we have very limited space. So think which country we can send people. Not just everybody comes to you, okay, we'll send these people. Think more. And then if you decide that, India can reap from the demographic dividend through both internal migration. Somebody said already, Kerala needs people from Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. So internal migration and international migration. I'll stop here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much.